Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to SP Reviews, where today I have the pleasure of reviewing a track from an act named Doc Jazz titled Friendzone. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on the screen. Now, there's been a little bit of controversy about this track. It's been interesting. I think we've legitimately, we've got articles about this one. Why toxic men hate the friend zone. Doc Jazz's candy wrapped poison. We've got some interesting takes on it, which is you know, it's a wild ride to hear about before I even listen to it. We've got comments on Doc Jazz's musical Intifada. We're talking about how other reviewers, other contemporaries like Jur from Sleeping Bag Studios, are concerned with how the song is going to come across. I don't know what we're going to be getting ourselves into. I don't mind. I don't mind if a song's a bit spicy. Like, I've been reviewing for a while. It's okay for there to be a little bit of conflict and drama. And I can even appreciate that there's more success to be had commercially and not making everyone happy than trying to make everyone happy. So from like an industry perspective, I think it can kind of be helpful if there is a little bit of outrage within reason. But we're going to listen through this track from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. You know, full disclosure, I've reviewed tracks of Doc Jazz before. I've enjoyed them. I'm not going to let that bias this review. But let's go. Let's do it. Friendzone. I'm kind of liking this trippy sort of, kind of reminds me of some of the music in the early 2000s, the kind of grooves we had there with the chord notes. Oh. Got to get out of the friend zone.
Hey girl, what's going on? The way you're using me.
Way you're using me.
You twirl and lead me on instead of choosing me. Situation.
I mean, that sub bass, I am paying attention to the lyrics, don't worry. That sub bass is tremendous, and I like how it works alongside the piano melodies and harmonies there with those extensions. And the drum grooves, man, are sensational.
Me in my dignity. You want my loyalty as I'm protecting you. It's like you're royalty, 'cause you expect me to. Situations costing me, I know what I'll do.
This is so different than what I hear on a daily basis. I like the vocal modulation. I like what's going on with these instrumental passages here and these kind of weird sort of vocal chops kind of spinning around in mid to high range that are harmonizing nicely off of the kind of sort of, I don't know how to describe the overall tone of it. Got futuristic kind of trippy vibes to it. Kind of experimental. It's very funky, to be fair. It's kind of like neo-funk.
Don't ask for company, 'cause I ain't wasting time. My task and suddenly turning on a dime. Situations choking me while I'm in my prime.
What's offensive about this? It's a guy saying that he feels, right? How do I say it? That someone he's with is taking him for granted. And he wants more than that. And there's an assertion that she knows that she's deliberately sort of putting him there. But there's no assertion that she's a terrible person because she's doing it. It literally just sounds like they're describing the situation. And then he's leaving the friend zone. He's like, I mean, like, I feel like I'm being baited somehow. Is this really like controversial? I mean, I don't understand how this is
Hey babe, you're losing now.
losing out. Okay.
One else like me.
There's no one else like me. See, this sounds healthy. It's a guy who's realized, actually, hang on, I don't need you and I don't want to continue to be this person for you. I want to go away from this. You're missing out on me because you don't understand or take respect or appreciate me. I'd get it if he was being disparaging towards her and saying nasty things about her, then yeah, he's being a dick, but he's not, because he's just saying, actually, I don't want to have, I don't want to have this friend zone. I don't understand. This can't be real. That people cannot be getting upset about this. This is not real.
No fake, just solid cloud. And yet you're sliding me. Situation's just so wrong. This ain't right for me.
No, this is ridiculous. I've got to stop. I've got to walk away from the lyrical sort of storyline to focus on other elements here. I love these sort of synthy key elements. You have that sparkle and sort of sequence in a way. The patterns are gorgeous and anthemic, and it works so well alongside the kind of chill kind of, it's kind of like city electro or something like that, you know, the kind of stuff you see in like racing car video games where things are nice and chill.
Someday you'll see the light.
I like the overdubs. They're great.
That day I'll be alright.
I like the fact that he works within the triads of the extended chords with the vocal melodies.
You'll be crying bitterly, wishing I had said. Gotta get out of the friend zone.
Yeah, no, I think that it's a song about realizing that someone isn't who you thought they were, that you feel a certain way, and you're leaving that position. Music, words, production, vocals by Doc Jazz. Video footage from Pixels.com. Cotton Brown, Paulina Tankilevic. Audio mastering by Rock Podbivsic. Sorry, that's a difficult one for me. Podbivsic. It's copyright 2023 Doc Jazz. Because this is the conclusion of my review of this track. I almost feel like, I mean, we know what the song's about. I've described it several times in this. It's fairly easy to understand and follow along with. It's a smart idea to have the lyrics in the music video. So well done on that front. I think it was an engaging music video. I think it was incredibly inoffensive. Like there wasn't anything here that, I mean, even on a slight level, I can't help but feel like the any sort of outrage over this is overblown. I get that, like, if he was saying nasty things about this person, or if he was saying that you couldn't be without me, but he's not saying that. He's literally just saying that he knows his own worth and that she's missing out because she could potentially be enjoying that part of him. With that not being exclusive, he's not saying no one else is this good necessarily. I mean, he might have, but I don't think so. He's just talking about his own value and whatever she's having to do with that. I don't understand. That's literally why people go to therapy. They go to therapy to learn their own worth because they get told, they get made to feel, whether through whatever, by whoever. I'm not saying that it's like, oh, that woman do this. Most people go through their lives, I think, questioning their own self-worth because of whatever reason. And I think it's really important. Find the value in yourself and get yourself out of situations where you feel that you don't feel valued. Obviously think about it and look at what's actually happening, because feelings cannot be the reality sometimes. Sometimes feelings can completely overwhelm you and distort the situation entirely. There's got to be a balance between feelings and thought. But I think, yeah, I don't know, man. It seems silly, this whole situation. So if we bring it down a little bit, I think that his vocal performance is great. It was nice, it's smooth and silky, you know, confident with his head and chest voice. Nice use of overdubs as well. It was a cool response there. It harmonized well with the accompaniment, the backing there. I think that was great. You know, it was pleasant to hear his voice. It's always very soothing, you know, even though there may have been some animosity in there somewhere, but he didn't get it from the performance. It just sounded charming, you know, like it was a story that we went on gradually throughout the verses, from him realizing that he was in a bad place, leaving, and then being like, yeah, no, I'm better off without this. I think that's really healthy. And at a base level. You can dig further if you want, but it's only going to make you feel miserable. The song itself behind his vocals, because he's a capable singer, and I think he expressed himself in a way that fitted more the style of music he was doing rather than the story. It's not like it was a really dramatic retelling of it. But I think that, you know, at 3 minutes, it's definitely like short and sweet, and that sweet spot between 2 and 4 minutes. I think that the drum grooves we had with those sort of like quarter notes and a kind of accents there, kick, 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 kept the song driving forward, kept it really engaging there. You had those lovely key extensions and stuff like that, and the basses as well, filling in that low end nice and round within the root notes. Not a lot of variety there, but they didn't need it because the focus is more on the vocals. Then again, you had the synth sequences and little flashes and everything like that. You know, there was a clear intention to detail. There were nice little rises that the vocals did with some elements of like the synths and everything. There was great unison between parts, but it wasn't too like inflexible. We could let the elements go in and out of each other. They didn't need to be completely tied together or joined at the hip. So I think, you know, we had some unusual chord progressions here that kind of made things more fun or interesting from a tonal or melodic perspective. The lead lines that were in the hooks or melodies vocally were really easy to follow, and they were pleasant and charming. And I think that if you weren't listening to the lyrics, even if you were like really sensitive to what was going on there and you really didn't like it, you wouldn't really know that the song was about it. I think that was maybe something that was beneficial in the situation, is that we didn't really go for that edginess that a lot of people do, especially, you know, like those incels who like just, they hate women because they feel like they deserve to be whatever, you know. There was none of that stuff here. Like there's a spectrum of the kind of stuff we were talking about in those articles, and I don't think we're anywhere near the top here. I think that is very palatable tonally, very interesting musically, makes good use of the 3 minutes, and I really don't have any major complaints about it. From like a performance perspective, it sounded great. You know, the choices of instruments and the accompaniment and arrangement made sense, were sensible for the style we wanted to go through here. Had that kind of city, kind of a light electro kind of vibe there, that dance music that you can kind of groove to. And that's something that's I've noticed throughout Doc Jazz's discography. And I liked as well the little bits of sort of like, we had some sort of bits of vocal modulation as well as some vocal chops as well in the earlier parts of the song, which were refreshing to listen to. There's a lot of thought put into this track, especially from an instrumental perspective, and I like that. I appreciate that. The production, recording, mixing, and mastering was great. You know, his vocals were nice and clear in the mix. I think it was great to have the situation that we had with you know, the vocals being not only present but also well sort of EQ'd and filtered, which made it to work better alongside the keys, the drums, the bass, etc. And those things respectively were also pretty well treated there. There weren't any sort of weird resonances in the frequency spectrum. It was nice and wide in the stereo field. The levels were great. It was, you know, it was nice to allow without pumping, so limiting compression was done well. And yeah, I don't think anybody is here for me to give my thoughts on anything other than the review of the track. I just don't get it. I don't get why people got upset. I don't think that feeding it any further would be a good idea. I can appreciate if like the lyrics were a bit more sort of like tonally severe. You know, you can argue that there was an inference if you kind of stretch it, but even you're really trying to sort of like look through the haystack at that point, you know? I think it's better to take things at base value. If you're looking for reasons to be upset, then you're doing life wrong. But this is effectively my review of Friendzone by Doc Jazz. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go check out their various social medias and the YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe. Please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.